you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed in attaining all and that which is your need? To be heard by the real answerer of all deeds, the true hearer of all whom pleads. Who of you really want to bow down to the true King of Kings commanding the crown? To worship the one that ever rules alone, commanding everything of creation from the seat of its throne.
Good afternoon, or for some of you, good evening. Welcome to an A.H.A.D moment, the calm before the storm. Wherever you are and whatever time you're looking at us out there, you people out there joining us in this New York and New Jersey metropolitan area, we welcome you again, and we hope that we can share with you once again a program concerning our discussion on the universal religion of truth, a very eye-opening and revealing and educating word of revelation, word of the apocalypse, for this day and this modern day time of prophecy. I'm Fakir Abdulaziz, and I'm honored to have with me again our esteemed panel, Lord Holy-Apostle Deen Saleem, the messenger prophet of the Lord Ahezaah, the supreme Lord of this day, past times, present, and all times. And with him is his esteemed and faithful companion, the mother of our community of A.H.A.D, the Holy Queen Mother, Rabia Saleem. May Ahezaah's peace and other blessings be within and about your presence.
May Ahezaah's peace and blessings be there and about your presence as well.
Again, we'd like to welcome you, the A.H.A.D believers who are tuning in, as well as the others out there in this television land looking at us today. And I guess we'll get right to subject. We'll get right to the subject that we're going to look to join upon in this discussion of reconciling the past, trying to reconcile the past with us dealing with the present. How many people and having to deal with how their past lives shaped them, informed their thinking and their way of being, how they deal with themselves, how they deal with society in general, and how it affects them in dealing with a new day or present time and what they have to do in their day-to-day living, particularly as it involves them dealing with being on the path of the way that's been expressed in the Old and New Testaments, the path of the way referred to by Jesus, referred to throughout the Quran, the path of the righteous way. So that's an important thing in reconciling the past with the present. I like to just, if I may, Lord Holy-Apostle Deen, just pose that as a question. How does one reconcile?
Okay. When we talking about reconciling, are we speaking about in regards to past religions, or are we speaking about in regards to general happenings in society, as a people,
Yes.
these United States of America, or exactly what are we talking about?
Well, both of those they fall into play because many people in their past religions, that does affect them. But more specifically, right now, I'm thinking about individuals in the past experiences in life from what you call a psychological perspective. How they, for example, as an example, maybe the Afro-American people, as an example, not to exclude other people.
Yeah.
The harsh experience in general, the African-American, not only their experience in a historical perspective, but on the individual basis is too, what many individuals have to go through and harsh upbringing.
Okay,
and stuff like that.
let's start it out like this here. First of all, your past is what forms you for your present. Okay, your past, involvements, experience, just the society you live in, the community,
household environment.
yes, household environments, what you inherited through the genes of your parents and their past experience and your forefathers' past experiences, which goes down your family tree. We talking about everything actually in regards to those who are relative to you in connection with you, whether they be of blood or neighbors.
Association.
Yeah.
Neighborly association. Okay. I'll tell you, you can break the answer to those problems down in a nutshell is submission to the originator of life in the present, recognizing the truth and surrendering to it. Now, it's a very difficult thing for a person to do in general. And the reason I say that is because, if you look at society as a whole, you see that that's what the problem is. That's what's going down. To reconcile, I'll take myself for an example. I've I've been involved in a lot of things, a lot of harsh things in my past life. I was victimized by a lot of harsh situations. I was brought up hard in the projects in Newark, in the Central Ward. I experienced the riot, being hunted, personally sought to be killed by police authorities, who I guess chose to select me in that manner, which the Lord did not allow to happen because I wasn't doing anything illegal other than 5 minutes past the curfew to get in the house, So I had a devastating effect upon me about people I respected, because I highly respected the police authority, but to have them, come after me in that way as a young child, I think I was 14 years old, and they chased me, shooting at me. And my mother, to see the horror on her face as she watched and screamed out of the window, what I did with all my negative effects was I tried to bring about a positive reaction. So I personally became a police officer, vowing that I would help the public. So I tried to reconcile that situation in my mind. There were many others, but let's just deal with that one. I became a police officer, and in my attempt, a state police officer, and in my attempt to help others, I seen the other side, because I had a negative feeling about police officers. And once I became one, I seen how hard it is for a good cop, a good police officer, to help the public when the public hate the people in blue. And they judge them, prejudge them, each one of them, and put them in a box, so to speak, of hatred, and try to hurt any of the good cops trying to help them. You see, because it's almost like a scorpion, that story about the scorpion trying to get across the water. And he asked the elephant to help him across. And the elephant said, "Hey, I can't help you, if I help you, you might kill me." He said, "No, I'm gonna kill you. Why would I kill you? If I kill you, I kill myself." And he reasoned with the elephant. The elephant said, okay, all right, I could see that. Come on, get on my back. In the middle of the river, he stung the elephant. The elephant looked at him surprised and said, what you do that for? He said, "I'm a scorpion." Well, that's the way it was with the people. They couldn't see me as a help for seeing themselves in their vengeance, you see. Now, how could I reconcile that? I had to come into a mental framework of recognition where I see that my people really don't want to be helped fully. They think they do, but they don't want to be helped.
Okay.
You understand? Now that's hard to bring about reconciliation. When a person is deluded into thinking that they want help and they doing everything to keep from being helped. They making the wrong choices in society, following the seductions of the devil, and supposing that those are, or believing that those are the the suggestions of the Lord. They follow evil knowingly, and then think that they can change up, or as long as they don't hurt anybody else directly, it's all right. There's so many negatives going on with the people in society, not just African Americans, but the whole of the United States of America today, that now the Lord has come down and manifested itself in voice and command to say that this is the day of revelation. This is the day when it's come to bring judgment upon humanity and destroy the world, which we see all the signs of that going on. How can we reconcile now at this point in time?
Well,
you tell me.
Yeah, that's, I guess, I don't know. Maybe if I could, I don't know, Holy Queen Mother, did you maybe have a comment or
Well,
some of the respect
really
they deal
like
with
to
it?
know what you think.
How will we reconcile? Well, I would. You would think that you would hope that the Supreme Lord is all powerful enough that if you could just, the only thing you can do is cry out for help. Because Lord, you talked about.
We talked about people
about
crying out for help, but not really wanting to be helped.
Not really wanting it, yeah.
They don't really want help, because when you bring the truth to them, they don't want it. When you bring clarity to them, you bring clear argument to them, they don't want it. You take millions of or so many great numbers of religious people who say, I believe everything you say, but you said you're the prophet? I don't believe you. So your words don't count now. Oh, the million words that I just gave you was all good until I gave you one word to say I'm the prophet of the Lord L. So now those million don't count. So how can you help a sick mind like that?
Yeah.
One thing is that nothing's beyond Ahezaah. Nothing at all. Nothing whatsoever. If Ahezaah wanted to fix a thing, it's just as good as done. And who's to say it's broken? You understand what I'm saying? See, one thing that people have to come to a realization is, and I understand why Ahezaah said don't pray for its enemy. You send out prayers for people who don't want to pray for themselves, who don't want good for themselves in the way you think they're supposed to receive the good. So each individual is on this path as an individual. Their foot has to be placed on this path and they have to walk this path themselves. If that's what they choose to do, seeking the good, which is Ahezaah alone, then everything will fall into place. But if you have those who do not, then Ahezaah is so balanced. You understand what I'm saying? And there's things that will never be reconciled in this life.
Right.
Unless by some means Ahezaah choose to do that.
Right.
But on what we're able to perceive at this time, that's not happening. We have to realize that there is good and evil. There is two sides. And for the most part, you have evil that's overwhelmed the good, even within us. We don't want to approach the evil that's in us.
As a people.
As an individual.
Yeah.
And if we don't approach the evil that's in us, why are we looking at it on a large scale? You know what I'm saying? It's so much to do for you when it comes to you as an individual that it don't even, it's a waste of time to look at it on a larger scale as an individual. And why I say that is because we like to use individuals as something wrong with mine. I need to go down on my voice.
Yeah, you're speaking a little. Keep your hands down.
Oh. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. We as individuals need to recognize that we make choices in life. And I'm getting all mixed up in here because I got so much going on.
Okay, listen, let me just say this here. They say that the headpiece is hitting hitting the microphone.
Okay. Now, we as individuals make choices in life. But when we make choices that don't benefit us, we like to use somebody else as a scapegoat and blame somebody else for them choices. But we clearly make choices. Okay? As individuals, we have to do so much reconciling with ourselves. We have to recognize that we're full of a lot of faults and evil. If each individual was truly seeking Allaah then we'll have that harmony. But people are not truly seeking the Lord, even people that's on the path that they claim to be, because they're not really willing to give up everything to surrender to Allah.
You know, they
Go
say
ahead.
something, you used to come and tell me, they say on the jobs, it's safe to say. And when they say it's safe to say, what they we be talking about, whatever your opinions are, you could bring them up front because it's safe in this environment for you to speak your mind. But we know that it's not safe to say. Just like they say, we in the land of the free. We know we're not free in this nation. You know, that's like they say, you could own a house. You buy a house and you find you don't own the land and you can't own the land, so you don't own the house because you can't pick the house up and walk away with it. And then you got all these laws that they put on you about the house that they still govern you inside your house by the local laws. So what do you own? What is safe to say and what is true? Now, people talk about being religious. You know, what is religious? You see, we know that religious is just it's just the meaning of the way of your life. It don't mean you going to church or the synagogue or the temple or whatever. It means however you live your life. A bum, a drunken bum his religion is being a drunken bum. A thief, his religion is being a thief. Yeah. You see? Now, in reconciling as a human being, doesn't matter where you are. The main aim of reconciliation is in returning to your original source of being in mind, which is the Lord El. How many people really want to do that? When we talk about religion in the way of the chosen, in the way that's been chosen by the holy, for us as people, as human beings, how many people want to give up their attachments to this world and turn to it and let it govern them as it says it should be the governor of them, because it is the knower of them, knowing them better than they know themselves. Each individual. Who wants to get that up? Who wants to get into true spirituality, true mysticism? People talk a beautiful show. All these so-called Afrocentric people in the United States of America. It takes a village to raise a child, but you go and try to scold somebody else's child, and then they want to come against you. Huh? They talk about, yeah, well, you know, back in the day, back in time, we all could communicate without talking. Yeah, many of us could do that, and some of us still can. But who believes it? And how many people that even talk that are prepared to walk the path to attain that quality again? That ability. How many? So where's the reconciliation at? When your life is a lie.
Right.
I speak clear language about the message that the Lord El has given me in the name of Allah and in the name of Ahezaah. How many people really want to hear it? Think about how many people have threatened my life through the years by their words, because their actions didn't touch me, but by their words, because I spoke the truth, the same truth that I'm still speaking, which they was so had no patience where they would go and investigate. Now they threw out all these threats against the Lord's messenger, one whom the Lord loves, and then later investigated and said, oh, wow, that guy was right. How many of them came and said, I apologize, Holy Apostle. I apologize for my foolishness. I apologize for my ignorance. Let me let them come to reconcile this, what they put in me against them.
And, you know, and things is easily said, but how many people truly truly practice that which they let come off of their tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Muslim says, as Allah wills.
But then they get all in front of Allah and try to make it as they will.
Right. Christians said, so be it with Allah. They say,
Uh-huh.
Amen.
Uh-huh.
How many of it, so be it with Allah? You know, my whole thing is, how many people outside of Holy-Apostle Deen, and I'm only speaking from experience, and I have experienced a lot in my lifetime. How many people stand back and say, truly, this person is a man of his word. He truly, whatever he said, he believes, and he manifests that. You know, we have people say things all the time, and they don't manifest it. So really, it's just words. It's words.
Lies.
And the whole thing is, everybody have a choice to make. And everybody, I was thinking about this, and I discussed this with Holy Apostle last week. And I mean what I'm saying, and the law is very balanced. There's very few victims in this world. Children are victimized.
Yes.
I will give that to them. But and bear with me. Women that get beat up by their man and everything, they're not victims. They made a choice. They claim to be victimized because they don't want you to look at them as perverted.
Okay.
People have a choice to make.
While they stay in.
Somebody punch you in your damn face and you stay, and there's a whole big old country out here where you could go. Now, if you left and they caught up with you, then that's one thing. There's police department, there's a whole lot of other avenues. And like I said, the country is big.
Well, let's look at it on a larger scale, Holy Queen. The society itself. We're suffering by the hands of the jinn. We're suffering by the hands of the political masters,
Right.
the political lawmakers. We're suffering by their hands, and we are victimized by their hands.
Right.
Are we? Didn't we put them in office?
Right.
Aren't there more people than there are political leaders?
Right.
Aren't there more people than there are the militia? Aren't there more people claiming to be victimized by the laws that they allow these people to make, that they vote in the office? So they're not victimized either.
Right. That's my
They are
point.
perverted.
That's-
The whole society is perverted.
Right. And we refuse, just like people say, oh, my man treat me wrong, he this, that, and the other. Well, why you with him? You with him because you choose to be with him. People just come and talk about their man treating them wrong because they don't want you to label them as a sucker.
Right.
Or your woman treating you wrong because you don't want someone to label you as a sucker. So you paint this person up to be the worst person in the world, and you the victim. No, you're not a victim. You pick, I'm messing around with a married man, da 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 da. You make these choices. It's just when other people done picked your card and looking at you a certain way, here you come acting like the victim.
That would be like a cover-up of self-destructive behavior, Lord. You're talking about how the political world, the jinn of the world, induce the people. They are inducing the people into self-destructive behavior. Right?
No.
The people will not reconcile with the Lord El.
Right.
That's why they are perverted. That's why we have the situation of our government system as it is. It's the people.
Right. It ain't.
It's not the
Individuals?
government so much. So it's the people. The people allow this government. The people pick this government. The people stand behind this government. The people will kill for this government. The people honor this government. The people honor the system. And then they holler about victims. When they get upset, the government say, okay, you got to have somebody to kill. Kill them niggas. Them niggas got your jobs. Get them Arabs. We ain't got the Russians no more.
Get the Mexicans.
Get the Mexicans.
Yeah,
They coming up here taking your job. Who giving them the power to come in here and take it? First of all, the Africans that was brought over from Africa as slaves shouldn't be paying taxes because they was forced into this nation. Who gonna reconcile that? Huh? We should be having free education just like the Native Americans should be having free education. And we should be allowed to have a free DNA test and told who we are, where we are, who we come from, and why we should have a different lifestyle.
Right. But
Who's going to reconcile that?
But we pick black leaders who side with the Caucasian. So are we victim?
No.
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 We let people stand up there and say we shouldn't want this and we shouldn't want that. So all of the injustice that was did to our ancestors went for naught because we just voluntarily sell ourselves into slavery.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And so how much are we victims? No, we are just as guilty because we do have knowledge. We have allowed ourselves to go to the Caucasian
I'll
school
give you a great example.
And get tricked by how the hell you going to go to your slave
you a great
master
example.
school and then expect to be free from your slave master.
Check this out. Here's a great example, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything or, off base. You got a man who said fight back. Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Malcolm X. They said we hate him. Black people, we hate him. You got a man said no, turn the other cheek and let this man whip your behind, sick his dogs on you, shoot his fireman truck water on you, beat you down with the policeman's clubs, kill your kids, bomb your house, bomb your church, disgrace you in your church and curse your God, which is the God that they gave you. Martin Luther King, we love him. How can you call yourself a victim?
Yeah, the perversion.
It's a perversion.
Yeah.
It's another perversion. So you can't keep crying the victim. I know a sister who was married. She was married in a pluralistic situation. Had children. Says she was a victim. She couldn't handle having a man who had other wives. Left the situation, went out and told all the stories about being the victim. But at the same time, she was committing adultery with another married man on her job, quit the husband, left her kids, and now living a block away from the man and his wife, continually in that adulterous situation, still angry about the other situation, saying she was the victim.
One example of the many. Just on that note, Lord, we're going to continue with our discussion, but we want to just acknowledge our half-hour audience in the New York area. Have them tune in the next time that we come in next week.
Who of you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed?